Hello and welcome to my coverage of the 2023 Tour Divide. This is my day one update. The race got underway at 8:30 local time. That's Canada local time. So we are now about 17, 18 hours in. The riders are heading into the first night of the race. So let's have a little look at the map and see what's been going on. So if we have a little look, I mean, it's hard to read too much into the tracker at this early stage. So if we have a little look, I think they're about 17 or 18 hours in, and it looks like we've got a bit of a group forming at the front here. So a couple of our rookies. If you remember, if you saw my preview show that went out yesterday, I'll put the link below if you haven't seen that. There's quite a few really fast guys who are maybe really strong, but rookies and new to the Tour Divide. One of those is Justinas Slavica, Lithuanian rider. He's really strong, won a lot of races in Europe, and also Ulrich Bartholomews, who you can see here. So it looks like these guys, along with Michael Tobin, have kind of got a bit of a break on the rest of the pack. I suspect it looks like Ulrich, if we go to the race flow, Ulrich's dot has faded out for now. It could mean he's sleeping, but if I'm honest, I suspect it means that he's got a tracker issue. It's quite remote in that Flathead Valley. I saw he was running a Garmin InReach tracker. Maybe the battery's gone flat and he's not realised, something like that. I highly doubt that he's not stopped, that he stopped if Justinas has carried on, knowing these guys and how they race. And you can see from the track here, so basically the lines here show kind of the progression over time. So we've got time on the bottom axis, distance at the top. So the steeper the line, the more distance they're covering. And when it's dead flat like this, you can see these two guys here. That means that they've stopped. So obviously they've stopped for a bit of a break. I'd imagine that was Fernie. So that's the first major town en route. I'll dig into the route details a little bit more in a second once I've sort of dealt with the tracker. So yeah, I'm reading into this. I mean, it's very early days. 18 hours, 19 hours into a 2-week race. It doesn't really mean a lot at this stage, but I suspect that Ulrich and Justinas are probably riding together, and I suspect at some point Ulrich will realise his tracker's gone flat, or he's got an issue, or it's turned off, and I imagine he'll jump back up with Justinas. Looks like they've ridden through the first night. That was an old favourite of Michael. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with riding through the first night on the Tour Divide. It is 2 weeks, and there's a lot of time to catch back up on sleep, and you can still do a very fast time even if you do have a sleep there. If we dig into the tracker here, so you can see these two little dots here. These are the historical records. So the late great Mike Cool, Justinas is a little bit behind Mike's pace at the moment. Just bear in mind the trackers are probably set to 5 or 10 minutes, so these dots are going to be, they're not going to be like 100% accurate exactly where they are at any given time. And there's also things you have to deal with, like tree cover and steep mountains. Like these valleys here are quite steep. So yeah, Justinas we can say is about record pace with Mike. Judging by the conditions, I've seen a few little reports on Instagram. It looks like it's been quite muddy out there, which would slow things down. Mike did this, set this record in 2019. And it was just absolutely perfect conditions, really fast, kind of slightly overcast and drizzly the first few days, which obviously is a benefit in a riding all day. Sometimes riding in the sun can be, it can really wear you out. So yeah, Mike got perfect conditions. So Justinas is probably, in reality, riding faster than Mike would have been, but ground conditions, it sounds like, I'll come on to that later on, have slowed him down. And also Lael's record, women's record, she actually set this as an ITT. I think it might have been in August, so again much drier, but they're all about the ballpark. But it's day one. It's not even day one yet. It's 1 in the morning, so it's like 18-19 hours riding. It doesn't mean an awful lot at this point. Further down the field, you can see Lael and a few others. Alex Howes, he's one of our pro riders that I touched on in the preview show. I mean, Lael is, this is a good kind of time. I'd say it's about par if it's been quite muddy. And you can see a lot of these riders are pushing on. There is butts cabbing up here, which can often be somewhere to aim for on this kind of bend before cabin pass. But I mean, at 19 hours into the race, if they were going to stop, they probably would have stopped by now. last time I went there. I mean, there is a little shelter here where Ulrich potentially has stopped, but I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine Ulrich would have stopped. So yeah, and then further down, it looks like quite a few riders have then stopped in Fernie. So Fernie is the first major resupply on the race route after you start in Banff, and probably like the only resupply that the riders will stop at before the American border. So you can see, we just scroll up here, and there's a lot of riders in Fernie. So if it's been slow going and riders get into Fernie kind of late on, there's a fairly good chance, I'd say, that a lot of these riders are staying in hotels. If it's been muddy and wet, I mean, you're not going to lose anything. You know, 2018, Lewis Sidor one, sounded like it's very similar conditions early on, and they all stopped in a hotel room in Fernie, and he was like just over 15 days and took the win. So again, wouldn't read too much into it at this point. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this race develops. So you know, going through the first night into tomorrow, then we'll really start seeing the picture develop in as they go into America. So moving on, I've actually managed to get a sponsor for these updates. So massively grateful to the guys over at Holyfat. So these guys, they make energy bars and nut butters, and they're actually they're carbohydrate free. So they use like coconut butters and you know, oils and stuff. So for these kind of long distance rides, it's kind of like a really slow release energy. I used them on the Highland Trail 550 the other week. I made a little bit of a video about the what I ate during the race and how I used, you know, these bars as well as other things. So I'll put a link down to that below. I'm not going to harp on about it here because you're more interested in dot watching than my sponsors. But yeah, just a big shout out to Holyfat. Check out their website. Maybe look at the video on how I use their stuff, and yeah, you'll probably hear a bit more of that in the upcoming coverage. So now I'm going to dive into the route a little bit. So just diving over to Ride with GPS for this, because I just find it really clear and a really nice way to kind of see things. And also they have this really amazing Tour Divide guide with all the points of interest and things put together by Sarah Swallow, who's one of their athletes. So you can see the first part of the race here. And I've got a few videos just to give you a bit of a feel as to what the race is like. I'm just going to turn these points of interest off so we can see a bit better what's going on. So the start is in Banff, and essentially this is quite a long forest road with a little bit of single track further up, and it's kind of a relatively easy start into the race. So you get onto Spray Lake roads. You're probably talking about just over 1,000 meters to 1,200 meters altitude. There's my upside down filming skills. Just like to say that this was filmed in 2019. My video skills have got a lot better since that point, and my laptop is still struggling with everything. I need to get a new one. But you can see that they're on these big, wide forest roads, beautiful mountains around you. I mean, this is the start of the Tour Divide. You go down that road and you get sort of tingles in your fingers. It's not as easy as it looks. The gravel, there's quite a lot of gravel on the surface. Some bits are faster, some bits are slower. Depends if it's been graded recently. You get quite a lot of stutter bumps. But yeah, it's a pretty nice little, pretty nice road to ride on. That's just the beginning. You know, that's the start for Tour Divide, and the riders are going to know that, you know, they've got a lot coming up. So that section down here in Canada, down Spray Valley, and then you basically kind of wiggle around a bit, get to Elkford, and we have here Cocoa Claims, bit of a brutal steep hiker bike. I don't actually have any video from that because it's the kind of hiker bike when you're just trying to get up it, but essentially it's a riverbed, real rocky, probably about an hour and a bit, hiking up there, and then you get into this sort of high lost valley. I don't actually know the name of the valley, but it's pretty cool. I'd imagine there have been reports of mud. I mean, I rode that last year. Basically I rode from the border up to Banff for the start of last year's Tour Divide, and the conditions were horrific. Peanut butter mud, still snow on some of the passes. Wasn't fun. But yeah, you're kind of looking at these trails, like wooded trails, not massively well used. This was with, I think that's Steve Halligan actually from 2019. And you can see that if a bit of rain, it could potentially get a little bit sticky on there. But it doesn't seem to have slowed the leaders down that much, to be honest. I mean, like I said, they're really strong guys. And then you can see you kind of trail all the way through into Fernie, which is our resupply, where a lot of the guys have stopped for the evening. And then you're on fire roads, and then you're heading up and over Flathead Pass into the Flathead Valley, and this is your first real wilderness. Fairly good chance of seeing bears up here. I've seen a moose, I've seen wolves over here, and I saw Cabin Pass seems to be the one for me. I will see wildlife. I've seen a moose there, and I've seen a wolf in 2019. In actual fact, I've got a little video from Cabin Pass. I was with Steve Halligan again, and yeah, just riding up there, and maybe like a few seconds after I stopped filming this, there was just a wolf stood at the side of the track, which was pretty spectacular. It's a bit of a way to wake up and just look at these mountains. Incredible, really beautiful. I mean, the divide's amazing. I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to go back and ride it again once I finish doing this coverage. I'm already getting envious. And then, yeah, so we've got the first few big passes. So there's Cabin Pass, there's a tiny little hiker bike, and then you've got Galton Pass, which you can see on the profile down the bottom here, is like the first big pass, and then it's downhill all the way to Roosevelt at the border. So yeah, so that's kind of a brief summary of the Canadian section. Let's have a little bit of a look on Instagram. So Ted King, one of the favourites we talked about in the preview show yesterday. I think we've established now whether he's going to be pushing at the front of the race or whether he's going to be enjoying the ride.
The list, because my bivvy is right there with my sleep sack, my whole sleep system, and I'm in a hotel room. I was in lead group of 4 very strong dudes. We rode 155 miles. My goal was to go 250 miles today, and then the descent into Fernie was borderline hypothermic in really, really thick mud. And I remembered, I'd seen on the Facebook group that the Snow Valley Lodge in Fernie has bike wash stations, wonderful hotels, and a free hot meal. And I thought...
So there we go, Ted King. Obviously riding right at the front with the front guys, Ulrich, Justinus, and Tobin, I think it was. Sounds like he's taken the sensible option. Sounds like that pass out the back has been really muddy. I mean, you can see a lot of mud on the riders. And he's taken the sensible option, got a good night's sleep on the first night. To be honest, I think it's probably a good thing. Keep the bike clean, not wasting too much energy, and I'm sure he's got the engine. He can come back if he wants to. Another guy I touched on was Joe Nation yesterday. Sounds like he's having issues too. Problem with his Garmin, kept missing turns, so he's coming into Fernie again, probably close behind the guys, but getting into a hotel, get dry, and sort himself out. It's a long race, so it's not all about who's winning. Not even after the first day, after 19 hours. So it's going to be really fascinating to watch. It's only just getting going. I'm going to do updates every single day. So thank you for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you to make sure you don't miss anything. Check out my race preview video and the video I did on nutrition at the Highland Trail to see how I used the Holyfat bars. Thank you to everyone for watching and the support, and I'll see you tomorrow for another update.